Time for our tech slot this week. In a recent time when Mark Zuckerberg has laid out his vision to transform Facebook from a social media network into what he calls a Metaverse company in the next 5 years. And here to explain all of that and take us by the hand down the garden path is our tech man, Mr. Jordan Casey. Jordan, good morning to you, sir.
Morning, guys. How are you doing?
I already feel like I'm in a Marvel movie listening to that first sentence.
Well, now we're looking at Metaverse company. Obviously, lots of things going on here, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Mark Zuckerberg laid down recently to Facebook employees is very, very interesting and a little overwhelming if you ask me. But basically, what he's laid out is a 5 to 10 year plan on converting Facebook from what we know as a social media company into a fully fledged metaverse. So basically, for those that don't know, myself included, a metaverse is pretty much a collective virtual space that combines everything from the virtual to the physical to the internet.
So it's a mad combination of all these things. And we were talking off air there. You were reminding me that Facebook have owned Oculus, which of course a lot of people will be familiar with, the last 5 years or thereabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Oculus will play a huge role in what Facebook are trying to do here. I think on the surface, if people look at Facebook, it's very much the social network, Instagram, and then of course WhatsApp. But behind the scenes over the last decade, they have been working on some really, really exciting emerging technologies. And one of them obviously being Oculus, or the virtual reality headsets that are mainly used for gaming. However, Mark Zuckerberg envisions this to have a huge impact in how we live our lives in the future, where remote working is one of the main aspects, where we don't have to be anywhere to be everywhere. And so what he's doing with the Oculus headsets is really exciting. Obviously, I was on the show a couple of months ago when we were talking about the augmented reality system that he's creating. It's sort of like a handset, really, where you put a ring or a watch on, and the technology is able to detect neural signals from your brain to your fingers. So that would be a huge aspect of it as well. So like it's really, really interesting. It's a little bit overwhelming, as I said, but basically he's trying to combine the physical and the virtual to create a different universe that sits on the internet.
It really is a merging of all these things that you've mentioned there. And I saw a little demo of a guy who was having a business meeting per se, and he takes on this avatar, takes his picture, and you have this avatar of yourself on screen, and the person you're talking to is on this kind of big mounted screen that can see what you're at, can see your environment in this kind of avatarish setup there. You'd wonder how much work you'd get done in terms of getting used to all of this, Jordan, and gawking around the place and looking at how things are.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think it is very much it's very video game like, and I think it obviously could potentially play on as a distraction. And I think maybe like Facebook have obviously been talking about this for years, but I think with the pandemic and the emergence of remote working and people being able to work in big urban centres whilst also living, say, in rural areas, I think it's sort of shown the possibilities with it. And yeah, it is very much avatar based, and the whole system about a metaverse is that it's not owned by one whole company. It's just the convoluted combination of all virtual worlds. And I think it is interesting to see Zuckerberg come out with this huge fledgling plan for Facebook, whereas in the same time he's under a serious scrutiny in the United States Congress. They're trying to break Facebook up into a number of different companies, like splitting Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and it looks like they may make some progress there. So then to see him come out and tell us he's going to be creating a whole universe in the next 10 years is very, very interesting time.
Yeah, well. He's aiming high on that.
They'd have to do something with the size of those headsets, because I wouldn't fancy, not that I ever will, but I wouldn't fancy having to wear one of those big headsets all the time.
Quite clunky still, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think and it is actually something that they're working on in making it a little bit more accessible for everyone. I know they have some smaller headsets or headsets that connect to phones, but I think, for this to work, it really does need to have a pretty big pickup. I think like the AR aspect, it's a little bit easier as it's creating virtual objects out of the reality that we already have. So if you look back to, say, 2013, even when Google had their Glass project, which obviously didn't do very well, but in terms of size and accessibility, it's definitely one to look at.
Good stuff. Well, Jordan, that's where we got to leave it. We will bid your avatar the best of luck.
See you in the metaverse, Jordan.
That's Jordan Casey of SC&E and Hub Web Design. And don't forget, for any app or web design, you can contact jordancaseyradio@gmail.com. Jordan, thanks so much as always.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.